Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to tell you which relics I think you should be using for every meta class. Relics are an additional item which was added because the 6th bonus of every rune was changed. Like you see, Scholar doesn't have the 5% more damage while above 90% health, and most of these unique bonuses were transferred to the relics, and many of them also just don't exist anymore. So I want to tell you which relics you should play for every meta class. Please don't flame me in the comments because I don't cover certain classes. The meta classes are just a few. Even if I play many builds, I just test around, but the meta classes are the ones I will cover in this video. Also, please keep in mind that I will not cover the rune in this video. I will just talk about the relic. I will do a separate video for the runes. Okay, I will start from Reaper and Scourge, because they were my main most of the time. So, the Reaper was nerfed in the Greatsword. They added the cooldown to Nightfall and to Grasping Darkness, but it is okay. Also, don't forget that the expansion also brought new weapons for every spec, so meaning that also the Scourge can play the Greatsword. So, this applies for both classes, both Reaper and both Scourge. So, I noticed the Relic of Fireworks. Upon dealing strike damage using a weapon skill with a recharge time of 20 seconds or more, gain 10% strike damage for 6 seconds. Refreshes duration on stack. Okay, this on paper is not the best, because there are not many weapon skills which have more than 20 seconds cooldown. But on the Reaper, and also on Scourge, on the Greatsword, we have Nightfall, which has 30 seconds cooldown, and Grasping Darkness, which has 25 seconds cooldown. So, just these two skills can give you 12 seconds of 10% more strike damage if you use them one after the other, not immediately. Also, I noticed another thing. You press Nightfall, you see the first pulse doing damage, duration gets refreshed on every pulse. So I think this relic can work really well on the Reaper and on the Scourge with the Nightfall, considering you will hit enemies all the time with your pulses. Then you can just use your skill 5 because it is a pull and you will use it anyways, and you will do damage to the enemies, and you get the Relic of the Fireworks boon again, so 10% more damage. This is a very nice relic. I think there are better relics, but for the Reaper and Scourge with the Greatsword combined with the Nightfall, which is a pulsing damage skill, which each time you damage the enemy you will refresh the Relic of Fireworks. I think the Fireworks relic is the best for Reaper and Scourge while running a Greatsword. Also, your Reaper Shroud skills are considered weapon skills, since they take the place of your normal weapon skills. So there are two skills while you are in Reaper Shroud, which are the number 4 and the number 5, which can get you the boon from the Relic of Fireworks. You will see the skill 4, which is the Soul Spiral, has 17 seconds of cooldown, but normally it has 20 seconds cooldown. So even if you have this trait right here, which reduces the recharge of your Shroud skills, the relic will take in consideration only the original cooldown, which is 20 seconds. So Soul Spiral will work. You see, I hit my enemies and I get the Relics of Fireworks stack 10% strike damage. Another relic which I consider really interesting on Necromancer, since Necromancer also has to corrupt the boons, is the Relic of the Nightmare. Whenever you use an elite skill, you send forth a Nightmare pulse that inflicts fear and poison on nearby enemies. So fear is a CC, and also of course will remove a stack of stability, and if the enemy has no stability, you might proc with the fear an interrupt, and the interrupt will trigger the superior sigil of absorption, so you will steal 3 additional boons, meaning that you will corrupt 3 additional boons. So I also asked myself, will it work with Shield to the Bone, like they will be feared instead of stunned? So I tried it, and let's see. You stun them, and at the end of the stun you apply this wave of fear which lasts 2 seconds approximately, with 0 condition duration. Let's see how it works with the Ghastly Bridge from the Scourge. I press it, you see each pulse working, and at the end of the Ghastly Bridge you will send towards your enemy, like around you, a wave of fear. I think this rune is very interesting and will probably be used in more organized environments, instead of just taking 10% flat damage. The last relic which I consider strong, and probably the safest for every DPS class, is the Relic of the Thief. So, with the Relic of the Thief, upon striking an enemy with a weapon skill that has a recharge or resource cost, gain 1% strike damage for 6 seconds up to a maximum of 5 stacks, and refreshes duration of all stacks to 6 seconds. So basically, each time you use a skill which is not your skill 1, because skill 1 has no recharge, you will get a 1% strike damage increase, maximum 5 stacks. And keep in mind that hitting multiple enemies will give you multiple stacks, of course. You see my skill 3, it hit 2 enemies. Also my skill 2 has 8 hits, so you see this is basically a permanent 5% strike damage increase. While the the relic of the fireworks, in my opinion, cannot keep up the permanent duration of 10% strike damage. So it's up to you. I think on Necro it's worth it to play Relic of Fireworks because of the skill 4 and 5 on the Greysword, and also on your Reaper Shroud you have your skill 4 and skill 5, which can give you 10% more strike damage, meaning that your burst damage will be increased by an additional 5% compared to the superior Relic of the Thief. So on the Necro I would say go Fireworks or Nightmare if you need more corruption. On the Power Vindicator, to do damage, you should just run the Relic of Thief. Now I will show you why. Relic of Fireworks only works with your skill 5 from your Greysword, which has 20 seconds cooldown. Every other skill on your weapons sets will just have below 20 seconds cooldown, so the Relic of Firework is useless. And also your skill 4, which has 20 seconds cooldown, will not work for it. You see, I hit it, I don't get the boon. With the skill 5, I do. But I think you should just get the Relic of the Thief, so you will have permanent 5% strike damage increase instead of like 10% for 6 seconds every 20 seconds. Keep in mind that everything I just said about the Vindicator is applicable to the Herald, because Herald now can play the Greysword. So the meta on the Herald will be Hammer and Greysword. Right now I'm running Mace and Sword, but I will be running Greysword when I have the chance to play with a tag. On the Berserker you should just go Thief Relic, because the others, like Firework, is useless, because you have just a 20 seconds cooldown skill, which is Rush, and you need to hit it. And also I noticed it doesn't work for the Relic of Fireworks, so just don't use it. Just use the Thief, but still it's a bit tricky, because as you can see, your F1 from the longbow, or like also from your Greysword, will not give you any stack, so you just have to hit the enemies, with your skill from the weapons, like 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5. Both from your Greysword, Hammer or Longbow, whatever you play. It's a bit tricky on the Warrior, but it can still work, of course. You just need like a Whirlwind attack, 100 blades, you hit like 3 targets per hit, so you will have most of the time the 5% damage boost while you are in melee. On the Longbow is a bit trickier, because every skill from Longbow is a projectile. You can do it by using your Signet of Might, which makes your skills unblockable, and so they cannot be reflected also. You press your skill 3, you hit 5 enemies, you get maximum stacks of the Relics of the Thief. For the Dragonhunter we have 3 options. The first one is the Relic of the Dragonhunter. Enemies hit by your trap skills become hunted by you, increasing your strike damage and condition duration against them by 10% for 5 seconds. I don't think this is the best choice, because your traps have a cap on their targets, and sometimes you might even not hit them. And also this boon is just for this debuff you apply on your enemies is just for 5 seconds, and the traps have 20 and 24 seconds cooldown. Also, it doesn't really show up in the tooltips, so you see I hit them, you see this icon above their head, which means you deal 10% more damage to them now with every skill, with everything you press. I think it's nice, but in my opinion there is a better option. The better option, in my opinion, is the Relic of Fireworks, which we already saw, and when we use a skill which has 20 seconds or more cooldown in our weapons skills, we get 10% strike damage increase. This will apply on your skill 5 on the longbow, on your skill 3 from the scepter, and if you run torch you have nothing else. If you run the focus in the offhand you have Ray of Judgment and Shield of Wrath. So this relic is especially strong because we have 10% more damage, which will apply on our Hunter Sword, because Hunter Sword will hit the enemies 4 times and you will get the damage buff on every hit. So first hit buff, second buff, so it means that your final hit, which is huge damage, like one of the best skills in the game and the main reason why the Dragonhunter is played, with a 10% more strike damage compared to earlier before the patch. Also, we can see this skill working, this relic working with your skill 3, your skill 4, and also your skill 5 when it explodes. Also, don't forget that your skill 4 is a pulsing skill, so every pulse will recharge your Relic of Firework boon. Let's see it again. You see skill 4, 5 seconds, it keeps staying on 5 seconds because every pulse refreshes the duration. Then we have a third option, which is the Relic of the Thief, which we already saw. Let's see. The Relic of the Thief, which is 5% flat strike damage increase. Basically, you hit your enemies, you get 1% per hit with your weapon skills, meaning that you will have almost all the time on Guardian, because you have symbols on the ground all the time, you will get almost all the time 5% damage increase. In my opinion, on the Dragonhunter you should run Fireworks, and also this applies to the Core Guardian, because the Core Guardian now can play the longbow too, and so Relics of Fireworks is the best in any case, in my opinion, on the Guardian. The last classes I want to cover are the Power Chronomancer and the Power Virtuoso. With the patch now we can play the shield in offhand also for the Virtuoso, so everything I say now also applies for the Virtuoso. I would run the Relic of the Thief, because Fireworks will not work, because we only have Tides of Time, which is a skill which has more than 20 seconds cooldown, so it will not be worth it. Also the skill 5 from the Grey Sword, but still it will be better to have permanent 5%. So how will we get this is like this. Every bounce will give you a stack, so it's instantly 5 stacks, and also this skill is unblockable. Your shatters will not work, they are not considered weapons skills, and also your skill 4 from the Phantasm is just 1 stack, so your skill 2 is the best bang in the back. And also you have your skill 2 from the sword if you run sword, and if you run dagger you have your skill 3 from the dagger. And also of course your shield will give you a stack and then another stack, and every enemy hit will give you a stack, up to 5 stacks. Now I want to cover the meta support classes. I want to start by saying that possibly the Relic of the Monk will be the best for almost every support class, but I think there are some other options, some other variation which should be considered. On the Firebrand I found out about the Relic of the Flock, which grants barrier to yourself and nearby allies after you use a healing skill. This fits very well on the Firebrand because every charge of your mantra is considered an healing skill, and the 10 seconds cooldown is really strong on the Firebrand because every other healing skill on any support is like, you see, 30 seconds, 25 seconds, so you wouldn't benefit a lot from the Relic of the Flock. But on the Firebrand, you can get 3k barrier like every 10 seconds if you press your skill 6 properly. On the support Tempest, wherever you play, staff or dagger or whatever else you play, there are two options in my opinion. Of course, there is always the Monk Relic, which is the third option, but the other two variations are Relic of the Antitoxin. Outgoing condition cleanses remove an additional condition. This can only affect an ally once every 5 seconds, meaning that each time you will remove a condition from an ally, you will remove an additional condition, and this can apply on your allies once every 5 seconds per ally. This is very strong in my opinion and can probably take the place of the Relic of the Trooper, which is the continuation of the old Trooper rune, which removes a condition from affected allies after using a shout skill. So I didn't do the math, but the shouts are like 30 seconds cooldown, 25, 30, and also here we have Wash the Pain Away, which is another 25, the rebound is 75. So probably the Antitoxin is better than Trooper. This is the better option in my opinion on the support Tempest. On the heal Scrapper you can just go Relic of the Monk to be sure to get additional healings, or if you need more conditions removal, just go superior the Relic of the Antitoxin. The same applies for the heal Vindicator. On the heal Vindicator, just go Monk most of the time, and if you need more conditions cleanses, just go Antitoxin, but in my opinion, since you heal a lot on this class, you should just go Monk. The same applies for the heal Druid. Just run Monk Relic, and if you need more conditions removal, you can just go Antitoxin. Time for some honorable mentions. So, I really like the idea of having additional super speed after you use an elite skill with a cooldown of 30 seconds, and this is the Relic of the Pack. I press my elite skill, and after the cast I get like 4 seconds of super speed, and also my allies will get this. So, another interesting relic is the Relic of Speed, which increases movement speed by 66% when under the effect of swiftness, and as you might know, the maximum movement speed bonus is 33%, so if you are out of combat with swiftness, you cannot overcap this movement bonus. But if you are in combat, you go slower, even if you have swiftness, because the combat slows you. And for this, there is a super speed, which makes you at the maximum speed, even if you are in combat. So with the Relic of the Speed, I didn't test it yet, but if it works, you probably will have almost permanent super speed. Even if you lose some damage or some heal, I think this can be really interesting depending on how it works, because you don't have to catch up to your enemies, to your allies, and so you can move almost all the time at free maximum speed. I still have to test it. It might be a flop, it might be the worst of the relics, but in my opinion it can be really interesting. There are 2 more relics which I think can be played on supports. Maybe they are niche, but still I think they are worth mentioning. It's the Relic of Duena. Regeneration you apply is 20% more effective. Most of the support classes will apply a lot of healing with regeneration, because it's just a boon, it sits there and you can provide an extremely high amount of regeneration. And the regeneration will heal passively, like you don't need to care. You just apply regeneration with your normal skills and play around, and regeneration will be pumping up the numbers of your allies' health. So pumping this number by 20% I think is very nice. Probably not meta, but I think it can work on some classes like the Tempest, which doesn't provide a lot of healing, but it provides a lot of regeneration, and also on the Scrapper maybe. But on the Firebrand and on the Vindicator you should probably just go, and also on the Druid you should probably just go Monk. Then we have the Relic of Mercy, revive allies 20% faster and with 13% more health. I think this is nice, probably in just organized environments like guild versus guild, where people actually rest each other, and Earlier, the Superior Rune of Mercy wasn't played because you didn't get any boon duration and you get some toughness and healing. But now with the Relic of Mercy you can bypass all those boons, you can just go Rune of the Monk or whatever, and then you can go Relic of Mercy. The last relic I want to mention is the Relic of the Warrior. Weapon swap recharge time is reduced by 25%. There are some classes which have low cooldowns on their weapon skills, like the Guardian on the Scepter has the skill 2, which is their main damage skill with a low cooldown, and sometime after you use it you just swap to the other weapon set and you use everything on that, and you might need to swap back to the Scepter, but your swap cooldown has a 9 seconds cooldown, of course. But with the Relic of the Warrior, the cooldown of the weapon swap will be 6.75 seconds, meaning that you can swap faster, so you can use also maybe the Superior Sigil of Frenzy, which will recharge by 2 seconds every weapon skills and also your utility skills after you kill an enemy, so you reduce the cooldown of the Scepter 2, and you can swap back to the Scepter and you have your Scepter 2 ready again and you can spam more skills. This can work on some classes, I will need to study on it. I think this might be worth it sometimes. Okay, this was everything for this video. I will cover the runes next. I will see what changes in every meta classes. Also I will test many classes like the Greatsword Scourge, the Longbow Core Guardian, the Greatsword Herald, and maybe even others which I can think of right now. Please consider a subscribe if you enjoy my content and if you want to see more. Thank you for watching and see you on to next video. Bye!